Okay, we're clicking through a lot of these. We've talked about Lincoln, his early views on slavery. We talked about the House divided speech, his first inaugural speech when he was sworn in as president. Now we're going to talk about number 4, the Emancipation Proclamation. Now that is a mouthful. Let me explain this real briefly. The word emancipation means the process of setting someone free. In this case, it was the process of freeing the slaves. 1.5 years into the Civil War, the North was not doing so well. We had been losing many battles to the South. And because there had been so much death and destruction really on both sides, Lincoln wanted to find a way to quickly end the war. He waited for a Northern victory to make this announcement, this Emancipation Proclamation. Now, it's important to realize this was not a law that was passed by Congress. It's what we call an executive order. And the executive order, this is a power that almost every president has used. And they can use this if they determine that they need help running the government. Now, normally laws are created by Congress and they're enforced then by the president and the executive branch. An executive order allows the president to speed up this process of running the government if he feels that Congress is dragging their feet and there's a reason to do this. Now, this was a time of war, and so the president felt justified to issue a proclamation, an executive order, because this was a time of war. Now, in this Emancipation Proclamation, he threatens the South that he would free all the slaves, only in the areas that were still in rebellion, if they did not surrender within 100 days. Now, of course, 100 days came and went. The South did not surrender, and he felt like he needed to follow through on his promise. This actually ends up being a turning point in policy. It really does, because from this point forward, there can absolutely be zero compromise on the issue of slavery. Lincoln can never go back and compromise and allow the South, if they wanted to surrender, he could not compromise and allow them to maintain their slaves that they had. Now, it's also important to remember that the Emancipation Proclamation really did not free the slaves. The slaves did not just the next day walk away from their plantations and say, we're free people. Well, why not? Why wouldn't they? It's important to remember the southern states had already broken off. They had already elected their own president. They had started a war with Lincoln in the North. And as far as they viewed it, they thought the North was a foreign country. Why in the world would they take directions from a president of another country? Absolutely not. So that's why the South looked at it and said, hey, Lincoln, you can say whatever you want, but you are not our president anymore, so we're not going to follow your orders.